the beef cattle show, and my last year showing cattle for 4-H. I couldn't believe the day was finally here. I got up one morning and drove to the 4-H fair to feed my show heifer, Sweetie. Unfortunately for me, my heifer was in heat. On all the days to be in heat, it had to be the day of the fair. And heat means when a cow is fertile and ready to be bred. I took her to the wash area to get her all cleaned up for tonight's big show. I then took her to the cattle grooming chute and blow dried her hair and made it look poofier and shiny. And then I took her to the show ring to walk her around for practice. She did good for a cow that was in heat. Everyone was saying how good she looked. It was a few hours before show and everyone was anxious and ready. I waxed my show halter so that it looked brand new. I put my blue western shirt on, my good blue jeans, and my shiny belt, as what I'm wearing now. It was finally showtime. My family was there to support me, and me and Sweetie were all ready to go. We walked in the ring with two other guys. We were surrounded by a huge crowd and cameras flashing everywhere. We walked around, and the judge looked at us and had us line up in the middle. He lined me up first and the other two boys after, and handed me a blue ribbon and told me to stay in the ring. The other two boys walked out, and the other champions of the Simmentals came back in to see who'd be champion Simmental heifer. And then he looked at me and shook my hand and told me that I had just won champion of all the Simmentals. Then everybody of the champions of all the other breeds came back in and we walked around. Sweetie was getting restless and irritated. She decided she did not want to do this anymore and was determined to get out of that ring. So she ran me into the gate as hard as she could. It hurt so bad I felt like I could cry, but I just kept a smile on my face and kept looking at the judge like I got this. And then as we were walking around, she decided she would jump on the back of another cow that was in front of me. And this is just what they do when they're in heat. I was so embarrassed and was ready for this to be over. And then finally the judge had us walk to the middle of the show ring. And then Sweetie had to step on my foot. I collapsed to the ground. Tears were running out of my face, but I kept a smile on my face and got up and looked at the judge and just kept on smiling. And then the judge came up and said I had the short end of the stick because my cow was in heat. But I kept my cool and looked back at my family like I had already won Grand Champion heifer. And that is when the judge shook my hand and gave me my purple ribbon, my Grand Champion purple ribbon, and my trophy, saying that I won. I couldn't believe it. I was so speechless and so happy that my heart was racing and pounding. I walked out of the ring with the hugest smile on my face. This was my last year to participate as a competitor, a competitor in 4-H, and I went out with a Grand Champion heifer. Finally, all my months of hard work and dedication had finally paid off. This was one of the best moments of my life. I still have my Grand Champion heifer, Sweetie. She has had a bull calf last year that I have named Chester, that I'm currently trying to sell. And I'm hoping Sweetie gets pregnant again. She has been a great cow, and I'm hoping to acquire my future herd with her.